Evan.
Hello.
Hi, Evan. It's really
Hello there.
nice to be talking to you. So, what we're talking about today is embracing our grays. And I see that you're doing it beautifully. And I imagine that you've probably been doing it for a little while.
I got a double dose genetically of what it appears to be white or gray hair. My dad clearly had a marvelous head of grayish white hair, like Cary Grant.
I
Uh,
remember your dad, and he
yeah,
certainly had a
yeah.
beautiful head of gray hair.
And Daniel the
Yeah.
same, and I dare say Nasima too, if she
Mhm.
didn't color it to a certain
Yes, your
extent. But
sister.
that
Absolutely.
that's a whole other
She has a
story. Yeah.
beautiful head of gray hair, indeed. She certainly does.
Um, but I and my older brother both, have what I would characterize as white and not gray, and not neither one of us have ever. I guess I can speak for him. I've never considered doing anything about it. I was once in a play, I guess, where I had to dye a strange color, but after that, it was, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And since I was about 30, I guess I had some gray in my hair. My older daughter
Mhm.
curses me on a daily basis because she's fighting the battle of going gray, and I guess she hasn't decided it's a good thing yet since she's only 36 years old.
Is that right? That's funny. Well, you know what? Each in their own time is what I say.
I'm sure she'll embrace it at some point. She's going to have to.
And how did it feel like in your 30s, starting to go?
Uh, I wanted to talk to you about this. I think it's a whole other thing for men instead of for women. I think there's a certain, for lack of a better term, distinguished quality that men who go gray, maybe around the temples, or as it turns out with me, I had a streak in my hair like my mother did.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. There's something, yeah, distinctive about that, or something that lends gravitas to you. Where I think just the way youthful products are marketed and women's products in general, I think it's been an uphill battle for women to look at gray hair and think, oh, that looks good, as opposed to, oh, geez, that looks old and drab, and I don't want it.
So do you think it's unfair?
I do think it's unfair. I don't know what to do about it. I think a lot of it is societal perceptions, I guess. Yeah, I think in men, if you can be like a 70-year-old um, distingué looking individual or whatever, and you're well
Absolutely.
turned out,
Yeah.
people are going to go, oh, well, that fellow looks, there'll be positive wording involved.
Absolutely. A silver
A,
fox. So
accomplished,
wise. Yes, accomplished.
yeah,
Um,
regal, whatever.
yes.
Whereas I don't think you hear that for women. I think you hear more of these days, but
Mhm.
I suspect that's because it's being marketed that way. I mean, the baby boomers are the biggest, set of consumers out there at the moment. And if you watch TV here in the
Mhm.
States, it's all about hearing aids and walkers and God knows what. I mean, it's just they're pandering to our generation that seems to be aging in front of them.
And yet, so many of us are not doing that. We're just living differently.
We are. What we were talking about before with regard to how, in our my grandparents' generation, if you were 52 years old, that was it. You were done. You dressed old, you looked old, you acted old, everything. And if you didn't, it was the exception, not the rule. And now I think people are more likely to try and take care of themselves physically, mentally, beauty routine wise, just any kind of grooming kind of thing for men. I just think people are a lot less likely to let that stuff go. So you see people that are substantially older than 50 years old, and yet they're still, trying to keep it together. They haven't given up on life.
Going to what you were saying before, that people who didn't act their age when they were in their 50s previously, they may have been the exception, but they were not. That wasn't a positive exception. There was often a lot of she should act their age. Who do they think they are?
Yep.
This is inappropriate. Mutton dressed as lamb. All those kind of comments. Where now perhaps the comments may be a little bit more positive. When you see constantly now fashion magazines, or just generally in the newspapers, and you see women, men in that age who are fit, who are healthy, who are living actually their best lives. And it's not about the number anymore. Would you say?
It less so than it used to be.
Yeah.
The preoccupation, unfortunately, that we seem to have with youthful looks, like what comes to mind is Madonna. That's scary looking right now. She hasn't been able to figure out how to age gracefully, so she looks like a death rictus of herself. It's like just a mask.
Well, I feel actually, having you say that, I'm sorry that she feels that she needs to do what she does. However, I think that Madonna should do exactly what she wants, and if it makes her feel great, she should.
That too.
She's locked,
but she seems locked into a persona that she can't gracefully get out of. So she becomes more or less a caricature of herself.
Yeah, which is a shame, actually, because she's a woman who has a massive body of work, and people respect her for being so ahead of her time when she was in the height of her success, and she still continues to have this persona, and I think that is actually part of what drives her. It's the persona that she's created. So I think that the looks that she continues to cultivate are part of this persona, as opposed to trying to be younger. I think it's about this mystery of who Madonna is. Perhaps.
Ultimately, that may be a bad example, because she's locked into a look that she can't ever get out of, as far as that goes. So she may not be able to age ever, let alone gracefully.
No, but then there's so many people who do, and so many people who are. And
I agree.
Spoken to lots of men. I find that for them to be able to, and this is not meant in any kind of deprecating way, to be able to still attract a young woman is part of masculinity, isn't it?
I guess it is.
Yeah.
I guess it is. I think that's hardwired into to the male persona, I guess. Yeah.
And that might be one of the reasons why women continue to color even long past when they're actually happy about it.
Because I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something there. It's certainly like if you go to some family setup and you see your bubby and she's in her 90s, typically that hair is not gray or white. It's some strange, brownish, orange, whatever crazed color.
And that doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right, but you give them a pass on it because they're that old and they can do whatever the heck they want.
Do whatever they like. Exactly. And I actually think we should do whatever we like. Whatever color, our hair is, because we choose to keep it that way or we choose to change it. We should do whatever we want.
I agree with you. There's a commercial in the States that you probably don't get it there, but it's like the trope is young policyholders becoming their parents, and it's some Geico commercial or whatever. Okay. And so they show somebody walking through the mall, and they see somebody with blue hair, and you're not supposed to say anything about it. Okay. And the coach goes, "No, don't say a thing. Don't say a thing." And the guy goes, "Blue. She's got blue hair, blue." So they're resistant to change because they're being portrayed as the parental generation. I don't think our generation is like that at all. I think in another generation, when people that are my daughter's age are my age, another 30, 40 years, I don't think, unless I'm way off, I don't think it's going to matter what your sexuality is, what you look like so much anymore. I think there's going to be a lot more fluidity and acceptance. I hope there is.
I hope so too. And amen to that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been great talking to you, Evan.
All right.
And I just wanted to thank you so much. Talking to you all the way there from Kensington. Thank you so much.
You bet. Looking forward to doing it another time. Cheers.
Okay.